my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and the bad movies of yesteryear. Now, Chris, what we're going to review this week?
Well, Dave, it's one of our patrons, a good friend, Gareth. We're going back to 1990. Usually the Chris Phelps sweet spot, Dave, for action movies, but this one is a horror. It's starring Mr. Kevin Bacon, Mr. Fred Ward, who I've got to say, Dave, this is the third or fourth movie. I think Miami Blues was the last one we covered in. This is a movie that, first time round, I definitely didn't see, but I've watched it years ago. It's called Tremors, Dave, which also born plenty of dodgy sequels, but this was the peak, I think, of the franchise. So did you see this at the cinema, or where did you watch it the first time, Dave?
Yeah, definitely didn't see this at the cinema. So it's a bit of a weird one, this one, Chris, because I am questioning, have I actually ever watched this all the way through before? Because I don't think I have. I think I've watched it. I think I've watched the movie in its entirety, but in a buffet type format. So just catching bits of it at different times on TV and never actually taking the time to sit down through the whole thing. Now, the first time I do remember it just appeared on TV. And I was thinking as well, back in the day, I was a bit more of a night owl. I don't know if it's kids that probably changed it, but I just remember flicking through the channels in bed and just, watching something late at night. And then it's like, Kevin Bacon's on the roof somewhere. The fuck's going on? And then it was the scene where the guy gets, they're all trying to get off the ground and the guy ends up getting on the tire. And I'm like, he just gets sucked into the floor, but you can't see what it actually is. So that was my gateway then. I was like, it's almost like a kid's game, isn't it? Like, you sort of remember being a kid and trying to stay off the ground, or else, bad things will happen. So, yeah, I just remember flicking through and then watching a bit of it and then, like, coming back to it. And, yeah, I remember seeing it from that bit to the end. And then watching, over the years, I've caught different bits of it on TV. But yeah, I think this time might be the first time I've actually watched the whole thing from start to finish. How about yourself?
Yeah, so, this is a genre that I absolutely hate usually. But I remember, I'd probably say late 90s, maybe early 2000s, it being on the BBC. And I think it was at my nan's and I was like, and it wouldn't have been 2000 with Sam. Maybe it was mid-90s then. So maybe it was about 16, 17. It was on TV, definitely. And I was like, I'm not watching this shit. And I think I missed maybe the first couple of minutes of it. And I watched it with like me nan and granddad, my auntie and that, and enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it. Obviously, there's no phone there, Dave, to scroll through or get on Twitter to distract yourself or whatever. But actually sitting there and enjoying it, going, actually, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that scary, but just enjoying the performance of Kevin Bacon. Completely didn't realise Fred Ward was in it, and I probably didn't know who he was at the time. I knew him from a couple of films like Miami Blues, but not really understanding anything about the movie. But I know it has got a proper following. There's different sequels to it. And Kevin Bacon is actually a good guy in this, which is unusual for Kevin Bacon because there's a few films where obviously like Footloose, things like that. But then most of the time through the 90s, any movie I watched him in, he was a baddie, wasn't he? Was it the one with Keanu Reeves we watched when he was the baddie? Was it Keanu Reeves? No.
I know in the Wild Things recently, didn't we? Where we saw a bit of an appearance of the old Kevin Bacon worm.
Yeah, we did. Yes, yeah. Maybe that was what Tremors is based on. Mrs. Bacon would be very happy if it was that big. But yeah, we had that, and obviously Beverly Hills Cop we did as a late fees, didn't we? The new one, he's the baddie in that. But so we've done a few Kevin Bacon movies as well, but he's always a baddie as far as I'm concerned in most movies. So this, I wasn't sure if I'm going to like it, watching it probably 20 years since I've previously watched it. And it is a good pick. It's a proper, like, 90s movie. It's absolutely in the wheelhouse of what the VHS podcast is about. So yeah, no, quite interesting to see where we went with this one, Dave. And it's only an hour and a half. It's like 96 minutes, so it's that perfect sweet spot for me as well. Of like, oh, we can get through this pretty quick. It's not a 3-hour epic or Cloud Atlas, Blake. But he's threatening that, Dave. I've seen him in the Discord. I might not have commented. I've seen comments. But yeah, so yeah, genuinely thought, you know what? Let's give it a go this time. I won't go into it with my usual negative attitude as always because it's a horror movie and as such. But yeah, no, I'm quite looking forward to talking about this one.
I mean, you describe it as a horror movie. I think that is a bit of a stretch. I mean,
yeah.
It's a comedy horror movie. It's sort of labelled as, isn't it? So it's very much lighter. Kind of feel like, there's some Harry Potter movies that are more scary than this, but
yeah, now they are. Yeah.
But yeah, Chris, I can't wait to get into this one. So should we get into our trailer?
Let's go.
Perfection. A scorched outpost in the middle of nowhere.
You know how close I am to leaving this place right now? How close?
Maybe that's why Val and Earl decided to leave town.
Hey, hold up. That's Edgar Deems.
They just picked the wrong day to do it.
Jeez. You guys better get the hell out of here. There's a killer on the loose.
Who could be doing it?
Is that a snake?
I'll give you boys $5 for this.
20.
That's how they get you. They're under the ground.
What the hell are those things? How could they eat a whole station wagon?
But where do they come from?
I vote for outer space. No way these are local boys.
You see, they're headed right for us.
No Richter scale can measure it.
They're coming!
No scientist can explain it.
Bert, they're under the ground.
You didn't get penetration even with the elephant gun.
Run, run!
And no one knows what to call it.
Megaworms or suckers or suckoids.
Now, this valley is just one long smorgasbord.
Now, it's up to Val and Earl to save the world.
That's one big mother.
Who died and made you Einstein?
And they know just what to do. Flip for it.
Damn.
Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Tremors.
Val McKee and Earl Bassett are handymen working in Perfection, Nevada, an isolated settlement in the high desert east of the Sierra Nevada mountains. They eventually get tired of their jobs and leave for Bixby, the nearest town. As they leave, they discover the dead body of another resident, Edgar Deems, perched atop an electrical tower, still grasping to the tower's crossbeams with his rifle. Jim Wallace, the town's doctor, determines that Edgar died of dehydration, apparently having been too afraid to climb down. Now, Chris, what do you reckon to the opening of this movie?
Well, Dave, I tried to be a little bit cute before the trailer and that about it. It is definitely not a scary movie, this at all. This is literally when you would get someone in your house, like, an uncle or my granddad would be doing the shadow puppets with his hand, putting a sock on the hand and like Rod Hull or something. It's like Rod Hull's underneath the fucking desert and he's got his hand there with fucking emu. These fucking, the Tremors thing, whatever they are. Yeah, I do like the fact that we don't see it straight away, do we? You get this like they're two handymen together. I think they work well, actually. I think they've got a good bit of chemistry. I think
Definitely.
Fred Ward, to be fair, I know he's sent a mick out of Remo and Glenn's never forgiven me, but Remo Williams. But I do think Fred Ward's an underappreciated actor, and I think together they're a good little double act. And Fred Ward as well, Dave, he's always in shape. He's one of them guys that he's always a secondary, other than Remo, he's always a secondary actor, supporting actor. But yeah, he always looks like he's in shape. He can go a bit. He always looks like a boxer to me, like someone who's been like a lightweight or something, and he's done a lot of boxing.
Especially with that nose.
Well, don't be slating the nose, Dave.
No, but he does look... I agree. I think he does look a bit like a boxer, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And I think they work well together. I think they bounce off each other in it. The little town that they're in it's very contained in it. It's all like very small the way they do it. I like it. I like the cinematography of it. I think it stands up, and the story's pretty bobbins. But the fact that we don't see like the tremor thing, the killer things for a while, and they sort of think someone's killing people. It's like 20 minutes or so of this, like, what is it? What is it? And when they find the guy up there, and you're like, oh, this is fucking a bit thingy, because there is some gruesome bits or a little bit. It feels almost like a PG, and then there's a few bits where you're like, oh no, I think it's a 15 more than anything, because it does get a little bit gruesome. None more so than that couple who were retired, about to embark on the life together, traveling around America or whatever the fuck they're doing, and he's gone straight away. But that's a good scene. I think the effects on that are really good.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much there. I think what's interesting, if you look at the VHS cover, it's Jaws, basically, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a sandworm instead of a shark, and they're obviously on land. But you say about the story being bobbins. I love the fact that it's just such a simple story, and the guy who created it, I think S.S. Wilson, I think it is. Apparently, he was just sat on a rock, and then just wondered to himself, I wonder if there was something that was stopping me from getting off this rock, and then that germ of an idea basically spawned a franchise, of these terrible sequels, which we may cover one day. But this obviously being the first one. But in the first part of the movie, I think they really play up, and they were originally going to play up even more the fact that this could be a bunch of murders. This could be just a regular serial killer situation. And then it was going to be a reveal through the movie. They kind of screwed that up with the whole marketing for it, where they basically show the monster. And apparently Universal just wanted to market it as a monster movie. And I think one of the things I love about it, the fact that it is so bright. We're both shithouses with horror, aren't we? Fucking hell. Yeah. I watched the first two of those Terrifiers. Fuck me. Just talk about gruesome, over the top gruesome. But so I'm not a fan of things that, hours and days and weeks after, I'm still shitting it for turning out the lights and stuff. Whereas this is so bright. And it's really quite brave. I think the practical effects are amazing. But the way the intrigue is played up at the start, I really do like that. The whole mystery to it. Why is this guy, he's basically, died of dehydration, which, would have been an excruciating thing, but that was a better choice than actually going down and stepping on the ground. So, yeah, I love the way it's set up, and I completely agree. Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon, their chemistry is great. You get this camaraderie. It's, I want to say like a buddy cop type, but just a buddy movie. And they're making a bit of money, aren't they? The handymen they're going to get paid something like $50 to do a job, and they're just like fucked off, and they want to leave town. So you bought into these characters, and actually there's a proper entourage of good actors here, isn't there? There's a guy from Big Trouble in Little China. There's the dad from Family Ties.
Yeah,
just got all his guns and whatever with his wife. So yeah, I cards on the table straight away. I did love this movie. I think it's so good, and I don't know why. I think it takes me back to, remember when, fucking hell, before streaming and everything, Chris, you had 3 channels, most of them were shit, and then, if you couldn't sleep at night, you just fucking these old 50s monster movies, and you have these massive giant spiders and stuff in black and white. It looks horrendous in terms of effects. You can tell there's people with poles behind the massive spider or massive ant or whatever, and it's kind of like that. You just got these massive worms, and no explanation. Are they aliens? Are they maybe from nuclear experiments or something from the 40s and 50s? Who knows? They're just there, and basically if you step on the ground, you're fucked. So yeah, I bloody loved it.
Well, Dave. I've got to say, the story's bobbins, but I also loved it as well. I'm revealing my hand as well. I think, you know what I found really interesting? The rabbit hole of trivia afterwards. That's what, like when we've watched the movie and you enjoy it and you think, yeah, it's coming, but then you go on like this rabbit hole. And it's the fact that Kevin Bacon fucking hated this movie afterwards. He acknowledged it. He did it for the money because it wasn't a box office success. However, it was a runaway VHS success. Its second run when it went onto the home market, it was massive. I remember a lot of my friends having this, renting it and everything and talking about Tremors and that. Definitely never one I felt I wanted to watch when this came out. Like say 91, it would have come out in the UK on VHS. But honestly, reading it, and he even says it's one of his favourite films. I don't watch other movies that I've done, but I've watched this over a dozen times. He said, and I'm reading quoting now, and he said it's one of his favourite films of all time that he's done. Which is mad because he openly admits he was depressed. He did it because he needed money for his wife and his kids because he had no money, thought his career was over. But then you read the influence it had, a lot of the Graboids, the sounds we use in other horror movies later on, and Predator 2, these other bigger movies that was used in. But then just reading about who was supposed to be in the cast and how enthusiastic everyone was to appear in the movie, and I find it fascinating how these movies get made and who Clint Eastwood or Chuck Norris was going to be Bert, and he was like, Clint Eastwood, he wouldn't have even fucking, at this point, what was he on now? He was doing Unforgiven, probably, filming Unforgiven. I think The Rookie that we covered.
The Rookie, I was going to say,
yeah. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I think the story's silly, and you're right. It's almost like a short story, isn't it? One of them let me tell you about this one day in the desert. We were going to fix a fucking light bulb, and then this happened. And I do think the Graboids idea, and I never even picked up until you've said it, the Jaws thing with the VHS cover. But it's fucking Jaws, the whole... Yeah. You just ripped it off. They've not... And then the director says, goes, oh yeah, I was in the fucking army, whatever he was in. And I just imagine one day being in the desert, and what happens if you're stuck on a rock and you can't get off because these monsters? And you're thinking, no, mate, you've just watched Jaws and gone, how can I make a movie that's not in the water and get away with it? Because it is Jaws, this movie. You're right. I've never got that reference. It is, isn't it, though? Yeah. Don't go in the water, you're going to get caught. Because what I do like about it is it's like the Jaws thing as well, where you don't see the shark for ages. It's the camera. Yeah. The camera does all the work, all the legwork. And it's only when we did Jaws and that, and you look when you're years later and you go, actually, he's not in it for that fucking long. It's the camera that brings that intenseness, that sort of run, you need to get out, you're going to get caught thing. And I think this does have that sort of feeling as well, that sort of jeopardy of shit, they need to run, get running sort of thing. So I do think it is a good movie though, even though I do think at times though, Kevin Bacon is almost taking the piss out of the fucking movie. It's like he's in a comedy and everyone else is in a fucking serious movie. He's like playing it completely the opposite of everyone else, but I think it works. I think his character Val, it does work.
So, they were trying to make sure the rating was down, and when they originally cut the movie, it was a higher rating because the amount of F-bombs. So they had to delay and recut the movie to basically take most of the F-bombs out of there. But the one that stands out is just just picking up what you're saying about, it's like Kevin Bacon's in a comedy and everyone else is in a serious 50s horror movie or something, is when he's like, well, fuck you. It's just such an iconic way of delivering that line. So yeah, I think it's great. And I was talking about all the different entourage, but you've got Arena Richards there as well, haven't you, as Mindy, who obviously a few years later would become one of the main characters in Jurassic Park.
Oh, I didn't realise.
Yeah, the little girl on the little pogo stick. Yeah. I mean, I do remember seeing that bit, and it's like there's devastation. There's people fucking screaming, and people getting sucked into the ground, and then fucking Mindy's there on a pogo stick. Just oblivious. I know she's supposed to have her headphones on, but fucking hell. These were the old 80s job headphones, weren't they? With all the foam and everything. So it's not like the massive noise cancelling thing. So, yeah, it always frustrated me that bit when she was just oblivious to everything.
I suppose it adds to the sort of hairs on the back of your neck going, doesn't it? That sort of like, oh, come on, you need to move. Yeah.
I mean, by this point, we probably haven't mentioned as well that they gradually introduce the monster, don't they? So, the first thing you see is like the tongue, like the appendage that, kind of comes out, and you think, oh, right, these fucking nippy little worms, these are, nasty looking little fuckers. But then it's later you see, oh no, that's just the tongue bit. The fucking, these things are massive. And in terms of practical effects, this is 1990, and obviously it's had the bit of a HD touch up. I think it looks fucking great, and I think the effects, most of them, stand up really well. I think some of the blood, is a bit like jam or something, jelly. So, but apart from that, I think the worm, the Graboid, the Graboids, I think they look fucking great. And yeah, when Mindy's on a pogo stick, obviously you've seen the monster, and people are getting killed, and as soon as we've established they don't have ears, but they feel the vibrations, so that's how they know where you are. And for that moment, watching it this time, I'm like, because I couldn't remember if she died or not, and I'm like, oh, surely not. They're not going to kill the fucking kid, are they? So it is a tense moment, I agree. And obviously they don't. But yeah, for that moment, I was like, oh, fucking hell, you're going to kill her here. And we've spoken in the past about how it's a bit odd, isn't it? You don't tend to see that many kids get killed off in movies.
No, you don't. And did you also think as well, though, Dave, like, Robert Shaw in Jaws, you've mentioned Jaws now, it's got me thinking, the guy with the cap on and that, doesn't he look like him? Obviously, Robert Shaw's the boat guy, isn't he? You need a bigger boat. That guy actually looks a bit like him, the way he's dressed and everything, like in Jaws. It's got me thinking now, Dave.
That's
I'm going
true.
on a rabbit hole. Tremors is Jaws, what the references. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. There's some silly bits in the movie, but also I do like the fact that it's the way it burrows underneath, and you're like, shit, they're coming. You get the little bit of smoke effects as it's chasing people across like this desert land. There is a little bit of questionable regarding physics, though. Let's be honest. I'm not a fucking scientist here, but some of the things that it can take apart and take down. A massive
truck.
Like a truck or a fucking, a massive, what's his name? I'm losing it today. A tractor with a trailer. He's taking the ground out underneath them. That's how clever this Graboid are, aren't they?
Yeah,
they can take it up. But I don't think it completely ruins it. I just feel like every time Val and are together, it's just like it's almost like it's not Lethal Weapon, but it's the buddy fucking cop type movie, isn't it? Good cop, bad cop, and they're like calling each other names, and they've got improvisation. I did like though, Dave. Now, someone who's worked for over 20 years as a fucking maintenance engineer, repair engineer, whatever. Kevin Bacon with that fucking hammer at the start. It's like, fuck me. And apparently it was all improvised. He did it on purpose, but Fred Ward didn't know. So his reaction to it was actually genuine, as if to say, I can't fucking put that in the film. That bit is actually genuine. Look at it. Because I was watching it going, fuck off. He's never hit a hammer in his life here, Kevin Bacon, at this point. He couldn't get them tapped in or anything. I was like, that only needs like one or two hits with a hammer. So I still use bloody hammers every day in my job. So it's like, come on, but it makes for it. When you get it in movies, it's like, yeah, this person's a fucking handyman or whatever. And you can see, like, Auf Wiedersehen Pet is my favourite TV show of all time, as you know. I've mentioned it so many times. But in that first series, when they're laying bricks, Jimmy Nail and fucking Tim Healy, Dennis Patterson in it are terrible. Even fucking Big Bomber as well. You know, Pat Roach, he's supposed to have worked on sites, but they're not laying bricks at all. So you always get him. I'm on the Abby's Pet fan site, and he always say, like, I'm a brickie who went to Germany because of this TV show. And I watch it now and realise how bad the mortar was and how bad the fucking bricks were they were laying. They'd had like basic courses, Kevin Waitley, to put bricks in, but they would, and luckily you only see him laying bricks a few times. That's what this is like. It's like dink, no, ding, 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 and he's not moving. Then he's missing it, and I'm like, you're getting paid fuck all as a handyman here, fucking Val. I'm sorry, they won't be asking you to come back again.
See, the way I sort of watched that, I didn't think too deeply until you just said it there, but I kind of had that Fred Ward was the mentor, and Kevin Bacon's almost like the apprentice, but you know, he's just a bit shit. And this tiny little town, I mean, they made this, the whole set, they literally put it up for the movie. It's not an actual town, which makes sense because, like, I don't know how that store would have enough business to be around still, but yeah, the fact that he's trying to hammer the nail in, and he, like you say, he's making a right pig's ear of it. For me, I just read that as part of his character, that he's just a bit shit, you know, his job. But who else are you going to fucking take on as a handyman apprentice, you know? So yeah, it just added it to me.
No, it did, and it's weird, and you're right, because it's a different perspective, because it's been my job for years. Like, you know, I know I'm like the supervisor sort of now, but I still go out and do my bit. I was out last night working, doing stuff late on, but I would look at it straight away from my side, Dave. I mean, I used to, when I was on the van of the big truck years ago, driving the big trucks, we used to do like the big glass and everything, which I still do bits of, but I did it every day as a job, and that's heavy work. You're lifting, shoveling glass, fitting it, all that stuff. But we'd have challenges. You get that bored because you could do the job with your eyes closed. And that's not being arrogant or being a dick, you know, because you just like, what can we do today? I used to do a challenge with the lad I work with and go, right, it's the toolbox challenge today. And he'd be like, what's that? And I always drove the truck. I love driving the big flatbed trucks. And he'd be like, what's the toolbox fucking challenge? And he'd look at me, knew I was up to something, and I go, we've got 8 jobs to complete today. And some of them are like fitting glass. So you've got to, like, you know, fit parts to them, or you've got, you know, what, sweeping it up, or whatever you've got to do, mend and put stuff back on, not just the glass framework, everything. We don't open the toolbox. And I remember this guy looking at me, we worked with Feasty, he went, you what? He made me say something like, you're a fucking idiot. I'm paraphrasing, it was something along them lines. And I went, no, we know we can fix these in record time. We didn't have a tracker, and I was usually chasing my job so I could get to the gym or something. Some fucking scam was going on. And I go, we're not opening the toolbox. And we did. And we used to do it about once every couple of weeks. I'd look at the jobs we've got, and I go, I don't think we need to open the toolbox. And the toolbox would be a massive shutter on the side of the truck, a big like tool cabin. You need to, you know, unlock it with a padlock. And we did. We're using stuff like fucking pens, or we could use anything on the van. So we'd have like bits of metal and make them into little, like, if it was a flathead screwdriver or something, you know, to turn it and that. And we got through the day, Dave. This went on for like 6 months, and then we passed it out to some of the other teams, and they were just calling us fucking idiots and stuff. But we used to have these toolbox days, and at the end of the day, I'd have so much fucking satisfaction of like fixing all these various things and going, I didn't even have to get my fucking screwdriver, my hammer, or my drill out once. It's so ridiculous and stupid. But yeah, that was like my one of my skills in my heyday, I must admit. I still do it now. I still get, like, Sam will go, can you do something? And I'll go and get a fucking knife or something. So instead of just getting my toolbox out or going in my van and getting all my tools, I've got every DeWalt drill you can think of, and sanders, everything, and fucking jigsaws. But I'm like, no, I'll make it hard for myself and get a fucking knife or a fork or something. Just, I don't know why, I still do it for the challenge. Something stupid. I've got tools, thousands of pounds worth of tools in the house and the van, and I very rarely use them. I like the challenge of, like, improvising, you know.
Yeah.
So bad.
I don't know if you were intentionally doing that, but all I can picture, that was real unintentional David Brent stuff, that was. It's like, oh yeah, those are the days back in my heyday. Still do it now. Still do it now. Yeah. So,
Yeah, not in my job though, but in like, well, I don't know, but it's probably just laziness, but just in improvising like that. And like the lads used to take the piss. Go, Chris is the only person at the co who uses a fucking drill as a hammer. You know, like if you'd see something, I couldn't be like, we're like, nah, just use the hammer. Use the bottom of the hammer with the drill, like the battery bit. Anyway, I'm doing it now. I'm such a bell end. Fucking hell. Nothing fell down though, Dave. I built structures in train stations, retail, fucking all over the country, and nothing's fell down. So I must have been doing something right. Or I had good people who knew what they were doing. Probably that.
You know,
anyway,
you get these like reoccurring clips that come up and you know, on TikTok and whatever, and pranks, you know, for builders and stuff like that is quite often will come up. But my favourite one is where, you know, and I think the idea of being a young lad on a fucking building site fucking would be a nightmare because you'd just be the butt of all the jokes. But my favourite one is, and it's so stupid, it's so simple, but they've obviously got some pipe sticking out the ground. And they've obviously got a little game where they're almost playing football and trying to chip a can, you know, into a hole in the wall or something like that. And so one person does it, chips the can. Next person does it, chips the can. Third person, the young lad, does it. Oh no, it's a fucking pipe in the ground and stays static there. The guy's on there like fucking not quite a broken leg, which wouldn't be as funny. But yeah, that's my favourite prank from the building sites that I see.
Oh, I've had all sorts. When I was a printer, when I left school, I had the usual tartan ink, go and get a long pole, you know, all these cliche ones.
Yeah.
The best one I've ever done, and it was on one of the admin with me, right? And I don't know, I probably told it on here. And I've had that where, you know, the old one on the building site is pick a bag of like kiln dry sand if you're laying flags, and then you get your knife and you've got it. Let's see how strong, how many reps can you do? And you get the lad doing the reps, and then someone just gets a knife and fucking cuts the sand and it goes all over the fucking hair and all that stuff. I've had that, but I did it to this admin woman. So we used to have to do a massive list of stock every couple of weeks. So you do a big list, stockpile. You'd have to handwrite it all out because you were in like a truck and all that. It's not like now it's all like digital stuff. And I'd watched what's it called? Not Max and Paddy, Phoenix Nights. And it's the scene, I think I'm sure I've said this one before, where the woman wants to kill her husband. And she's like, she gets Max and Paddy and she pays him money and he's got a gun. And Paddy begins to carry. Paddy goes, what the fuck's that? It's like an ornament. He goes, and Peter Kay goes, it's a Broomhandle Mauser, which is a fucking German gun from like World War II or something. So I'm ordering all these like cleats, screws, kits, building like timetable kits or foundation fucking bolts or whatever, and right in the middle of this stock order of about 20 items I put a Broomhandle Mauser right at the times one. So this woman in admin, and I did it right in the middle because she could have done the whole, if you put it at the end, she's on the system then, like Sage, putting them in, and I knew that she'd be halfway into putting all my stock on and then go, I don't know what this is. And she's going around the fucking warehouse. She collars one of the other lads who didn't know about this, but knew exactly what a Broomhandle Mauser was because he'd watched Phoenix Nights, knew I was having her at it. And this went on for ages. And then she fucking rang me going mental. You fucking prick. I've been sat there for ages and I am fucking crying. A fucking Broomhandle Mauser. I'm asking the warehouse manager. She's ringing London up, the main stores in London. Oh, Dave, I fucking buzz off stuff like that. I know it's so stupid even now, but it just tickled me because I thought she's going to be absolutely fuming. Instead of just stopping, leaving it and doing another order, she left this order open for ages and was asking her, what's a Broomhandle Mauser? And I think they were all having her at it then. Yeah, just childish things that entertain you, Dave.
Sounds like a prank Finchy would do.
Well, sounded like David Brent before. So
So, Victor Wong is in there. He's the guy who I mentioned about who plays character in Big Trouble in Little China. He's playing, playing Walter Chang, the store owner in Perfection. I mean, for me, Chris, his death was probably the most gruesome, because you saw the old couple, and the guy getting pulled under the sand. That was pretty horrible, but you can't see the monster at that point. But I think Victor's death, Walter's death, called by his character, I think that was probably the most gruesome one. What do you reckon? What was the most kind of gruesome kill for you?
I think that was the most gruesome, but the one that sets the stall out is the couple. When he's going down and everything, it's a little bit comedic at one point, but as he's going under, and I'm thinking, like, the poor people, they're happy in retirement. They're talking about what life's going to be. And as soon as they're having that dialogue, I'm thinking, oh, you two are definitely going to, you're fucked. There's no fucking, they call it a 401k in America. You're not getting a 401k. Yeah. You're not going out to Malibu. You're going underground, and you're going to be food for the Graboids. So, yeah, I think that's the one that got me attention, because it's a little bit slapsticky, tongue-in-cheek at the start, and then that kicks in, and then it does set the stall out for some moments. But yeah, the other one is gruesome as well, I must admit.
Yeah. And what do you reckon? So Rhonda is the old seismologist there, and you can see the fucking lechy workman, which I'm sure is not true in real life, Chris. But they're out and about, and they see there's a woman there, and this geologist, and then she's got the whole sunblock on her face and the hat and stuff, and Kevin Bacon, Val, he's like a bit disappointed with it, but it sort of did make me laugh that at one point, we've seen this massive fucking space worm or whatever it is just pull people down into the sand and then just eat them. But for her, they just managed to remove her jeans. What do you? I couldn't help but groan a little bit at that point. What did you reckon to the removal of the jeans? Was that like a? Do you remember Attack of the Clones, where they just Natalie Portman gets swiped at by this massive fucking monster, which just conveniently removes the clothing, so she exposes her midriff?
Well, Dave, sometimes removing clothing in movies, I've been partial to. I do enjoy it. Yeah, we know that. I mean, look, what was I watching? We were watching something ourselves, and it's like, all of a sudden, there was no need for it, but the woman's like seeing a bra and it, because I was like, I'm not really complaining, but I don't
that
really.
Fucking Hulk Hogan one, was it?
Which one? What the Thingy Island one?
Assault on Devil's Island, Suburban Commando.
Yeah, she's doing roundhouses 1 minute, and the next minute there's no clothes on. Yeah. It's just part of the trope, innit? It's that like late 80s, 90s part of a movie, isn't it? It just.
Sorry, I got to correct myself. For some reason, I went to a different Hulk Hogan thing there. Shadow Warriors, wasn't it? Not fucking yes. Suburban Commando. That's a completely different one.
We've not done that one yet, Suburban Commando. But no, you've got to throw. That's what I'm saying. I think at times the movie leans into the comedy unintentionally, and I think, like I say, Kevin Bacon, it works, Val, and I think you're probably right. Actually, he's probably is Earl's apprentice more than anything. And he's a very enthusiastic, but it isn't Christian Bale. Oh yeah, Val's just left high school. He's 17 or 18. She's got floppy hair or whatever. That doesn't really work. But no, look, it didn't take it away from the movie. It's just part of the course in it with these sort of things. And I think, like, as we're talking about it, I can appreciate the movie for what it is. I can understand the cult following, and I can also understand, like, it born a franchise. They weren't exactly the best, the sequels. I think I've seen part of the second one and was like, I'm not watching this again. But the first, this one, I think this one stands the test of time. It's 34 years old, and I don't think it's out of place at all, honestly. I think, like, everything about it, I think the idea of when they're all on the building, and it's like, the Graboids are trying to get at him, aren't they? And it's like, what we're going to do? And they set off the tractor, don't they, to go that way. And then Kevin Bacon goes the other way, and he's trying to get like the big tractor himself and all that. And I think that works. It's the building. When the building comes down, I understand it's the foundations and everything. But 1 minute that building looks like it's brick and it'll never come down. It's got steel, RSJs, and it's got everything in it. The next minute, it's like a fucking wooden shanty town as the middle of the roof collapses. And I'm like, but when they were stood on it, it looked like it was like, all right, I'm not saying that the Graboids couldn't do something, but them foundations wouldn't move like that. They're in the structure, mate. But when all of a sudden it's like it's made of like the big bad wolves come and blew it away or something. There's a little bit of the inconsistencies at times, but you just go with it. It doesn't ruin the movie at all.
Yeah, I think the Graboid just got its Hulk on. But yeah, I mean, there's no steel or anything. I think we have brick houses here, don't we? But a lot of these do look like just wooden houses.
Yeah, it was just the way they were stood. And I was looking, Dave, this is where the building side of me comes. I'm looking at the fucking roof thinking, well, when it went in, I was like, I'm sure that looked like a fucking proper concrete roof. And then it was all wood. But most houses are wooden. The framework is wooden in America, isn't it? It's different in the suburbs and that. It's completely different to the UK. You know, obviously they will have brickwork and they'll have like the steel infrastructure and everything, but a lot of the houses are actually wooden. Like Lethal Weapon, Dave. You know, there's been a few in there. But yeah, I think like the end bit as well, when they're all like on different spots, I do like that, where like the young kid's on that little roof. Why that roof's not come in at this point, we don't know, but he seems to get away with it. They're not allowed to move. He runs, doesn't he? And that's where the Rod Hull thing come in for me. I couldn't not think of Rod Hull. There's somebody at the door, or him on fucking Wogan or Parkinson, fucking with his hand wrapped around his fucking neck and everything. A little bit of trivia for you, Dave. You know when Rod Hull passed away? This is sad. 1999 Champions League finals. What's United? His TV aerial was playing up. He went on the roof of his house and just fell off. Yeah, Champions League final. I'll never forget that. But I did. A bit of a somber thing, but yeah, Rod Hull in Emu. That's what it just kept reminding me of. Like, I thought he was going to grab him round the neck, you know, like, hey, Emu, stop it. And he's there, fucking people. I used to love the way he would go on a show and just take these celebrities out, you know, with the fucking hand, even though it's his hand. I mean, let's be honest, Dave. If he was still alive, would Operation U-Tree kick in? I wonder what.
Probably.
Probably it was around that era, but I loved it as a kid, and grot bags and everything. You know, there's somebody at the door. I used to watch it after school every day. But that's what this looked like. The Graboids looked like fucking someone, and it was probably someone's hand doing the thing. But it does work. It's a little bit strange because Kevin Bacon just stands still. Why have they not done that through the movie? You know, like, and it works for somehow. The Graboid obviously knows something's there. Why is it not just eating everything around it to take him out? That's a little inconsistency, but it's for the movie. It's got to go on it. It's got to be some sort of payoff. But I think the end of the movie's pretty good. I like the fact that the sort of getting the tractor goes like, get to the rock, you know, and then they suss out how to kill it. I've seen that end bit a few times though, when it's chasing after him and he's got the dynamite. And again, we have got that movie speed levels where 1 minute the Graboids like fucking Usain Bolt and can catch anybody, and the next minute Kevin Bacon in his cowboy boots, and the three of them, the girl's nowhere near Earl or Val, but then she runs with the lighter. I've got the lighter, but they're about 50 yards in front of him. But then when the camera pans to him, she's literally behind them. So yeah, there's a little bit of inconsistencies, but yeah, honestly, I think it's a really good movie. I think it really, really does stand up.
Absolutely, and I agree with the Rod Hull and Emu thing. So when he's just stood still on the ground, again, it's a tiny little nitpick, but I'm like, no, he's putting his feet on the ground
as well. Noise,
you would hear the vibrate or feel the vibrations. It just looks odd to me, and it's like, well, we know these are just like the tongue bits as well. If the worm was pretty sure that there was something there, it'd just come out. But you know, it does make for a little bit of tension. But yeah, I do like the ending. The fact that, you know, there's a number of them, these Graboids, and they have to see them off in different ways. But yeah, awesome stuff, Chris. Shall we get into our final review?
Let's go. So big thanks, Gareth, for picking this one. I wasn't sure if I'm going to come in and hate it. I didn't hate it at all. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The story's silly. Kevin Bacon he's just basically taking the piss. And I love the fact that he appreciates this movie more, and it's the one movie he's done in his whole career that he's watched over and over again and rates it as his best movie now. It's really good to see that sort of development in him as a person. And I think it's a cracking movie. I do, honestly. I think it's just silly. It's more an 80s movie to me. It's 1990. It was filmed, obviously, 89, probably 88, 89. It feels very 80s. I was quite surprised last week when it was like 1990. I was like, I'm sure. I thought it was about 87 or something. But either way, silly movie. It is Jaws. The fucking VHS cover I can't take my eyes off the VHS cover. I'm looking at it now going, it's just Jaws, the shark coming from underneath in Jaws. That's the same VHS. How they got away with that, I don't know. And S.S. Wilson, who created it, did the screenplay, a load of bullshit. I was in the army, I was on some rocks. Fuck off. You were like, I need to create Jaws, but so it's not in war, and that's what he's done. And the camera work's excellent. It does feel like the Graboids are chasing people as well. So I think I'm going to put it in Hill Valley, Dave. Good movie. I'd probably watch it again. I'm not just saying that. I probably would. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So how about yourself?
Yeah, very good. I probably liked it by the sounds of it a little bit more than you did. I mentioned before, I'm pretty sure I've seen the whole movie. There wasn't anything that happened that was a surprise, but I don't remember sitting down and watching it from start to finish. And I love the setting. I think it looks great. The cast is fantastic. You got all of these, interesting characters. Kevin Bacon's probably the standout star, isn't he? But like I say, Fred Ward, I think, plays a fantastic role as well. I think he's really underrated in this movie. And I just love the way that the intrigue, the mystery, the suspense is built up at the start, and then you start to see a bit more of the monster, and then they have all of these plans about how they're going to stay off the ground. And you say about the plot, it's just such a simple idea. There's fucking killer worms in the ground and you need to stay off the ground, but you're somehow going to have to get out of the town and get away. So I just love the simplicity to it, love the way it looks. I think the suspense, the story, the subtle comedy that's in there as well. So I'm going to put it in a Pleasantville. I really enjoyed this. I think this deserves to be one of those VHS classics that I'll definitely watch as well. I'm almost tempted to watch the sequels, but I know that they've not got Kevin Bacon in for a start, but I am intrigued as to where the story goes.
Honestly, I have seen bits of the second one, but I've definitely not watched all of it. Definitely. Now, Dave, it's my pick. Now, I mentioned Blake. Great guy, Blake. Cloud Atlas. Load of nonsense. Met him in person. I say it all the time. The greatest mullet I've ever seen. It's a fantastic bit of hair that Blake's got. But a few weeks ago, he picked Fatal Attraction, Dave, which is fucking awful. It was absolutely shit. So I've been absolutely thinking what we're going to do. And we were talking, and I'm thinking, you know what? I've settled on this. As me and you come on, I still wasn't sure what movie I was going to pick. But then it came to me like a bolt, Dave. And I was like, why don't we do the whole spoof movie review properly? So, Dave, we're going back to 1988, one of the greatest spoof movies ever, probably my favourite ever, starring Mr. Leslie Nielsen, Dave. That's all I need to say. It's Naked Gun. Let's get into the trailer.
Chris, I fucking love this movie. Cards on the table.
I do.
There's crime on
pointless. It's pointless next week.
Has seen enough.
I'll give him a review now.
Lieutenant Frank Drebin.
Whatever scum did this, not one man on this boat will rest for 1 minute and sleep behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat.
He's a good cop who's having a bad day. His best friend,
OJ,
is in a coma.
As soon as Nordberg is better, he's welcome back at Police Squad. But I wouldn't wait until the last minute to fill out those organ donor cards.
His girlfriend,
Priscilla Presley's so stunning
asked him to look her up.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Yes, every time.
Is in the hands of a master criminal with a sinister plan.
I must kill the queen.
How can any police story contain this much action? This much romance?
I like cops.
Yeah. Or this much baseball? Starring Leslie Nielsen, a cop who's always on the alert. Mikhail Gorbachev. Queen Elizabeth, everyone's favorite queen. Priscilla Presley, a woman who really cooks.
How hot and wet do you like it?
Ricardo Montalban.
He cannonball run.
Yeah.
George Kennedy, a partner with an appetite for danger. O.J. Simpson, as you've never seen him before. And
so
Reggie
dumb.
Jackson in his first dramatic role. In a movie so big, it had to be filmed in color. The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad.
Coming this Christmas to a theater near you. See you then.
I've never seen that bit before.
No. Is that an extra bit they tagged on at the end or something?
Dog licking his bollocks. It's looking brilliant.
So,
Cannot
the
wait.
scoring is going to be pointless here. Now, I've not watched this for a few years, so, and even in the trailer there were some bits where I thought, ooh, I wonder if that's going to age. But honestly, I cannot wait to watch this again, Chris.
Oh, I had to pick it. I've been threatening this for ages, but he's got to be done. I can't wait. I'm the same. Scores out the window next week, Dave. We'll just tell them now. I love this movie. So I think the other two weren't bad either, to be honest. I think the second one's not, but this one is peak, like Leslie Nielsen for me. Absolute classic. So anyway, Dave, I'm glad you're looking forward to that one. Massive thank you to everyone who supports the podcast. If you don't want to email us, the VHS Strikes Back @gmail.com, and follow us on social media at VHS Strikes Back. Please get over to patreon.com /the VHS Strikes Back. So the roll call of honour, big thank you to Gareth, Mike, Lee, Helen, Dylan, Dan, Justin, Susan, Timothy, Matt, Hales, Ken, Lucky Lulu Green, Herbs, Jack, Math, Blake, John Hammond, and Mr. Tony Farina. So thank you so much, guys, for your support. Amazing stuff. And Blake, I know I've dug you out a few times, my friend. We're going to do it properly next week. That's all I'll say.
You know,
he did message me, Blake, as well. Look, him taking the piss out of fellow tracks as well. I've got to dig him out, Dave.
You know, Blake, you're saying right. You've done fucking Cloud Atlas, ripped that to bits. You've done fucking Fatal Attraction, you ripped that to bits. The gloves are off now. I've gone for some attempted classics, but I'm going to pick some fucking shit next time, so I can't wait, actually. So, Chris...
I can, don't worry.
Yeah, I say that with a slight nervousness, but Chris, for our little musical number this week, I thought, well, we're in the Wild West, you know, we're in that kind of part of the world, you know, we're in Nevada, aren't we? So, you know, a place very dear to your heart, very close in Vegas. So I thought we'd go for a little bit of a country vibe. And because this is 1990 as well, I don't know about you, but do you remember when line dancing was fucking massive? It was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I know you kind of love that part of the world. You've got your cowboy hat on there. So I'd say get your cowboy hat on, get your cowboy boots, get ready to do some line dancing for this one.
Simple man living out in perfection. When the ground started quaking in every direction, acting like dumb, so locked the door, start I hunkered down tight. But those critters came whirling right up through the night. Oh, shake, rattle and worm, you're tearing up the ground. There ain't a coming. Don't stand around. It's a shake, rattle, and worm in this old town.
Hope you're doing your line dancing there, Chris.
Well, I'm enjoying this. You know, I like a bit of country.
You don't like this
handyman trying to make ends meet. Till these big old worms started chomping our feet. Tried to run for the mountains, thought it'd be okay. But those worms don't stop, they just munch away. Oh, shake, rattle, and worm, you're tearing up the ground. There ain't a safe place left in this crazy little town. When you feel that tremble coming, don't stand around. It's a shake, rattle, and worm in this old town.
Like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Now Rhonda's got seismic graphs, they're going wild. This quake's off the charts, ain't just a geological child. It's a hungry monster coming up for a snack. It's quicker and meaner than a Tatooine sarlacc. Oh, shake, rattle, and worm, you're tearing up the ground. There ain't a safe place left in this crazy little town. When you feel that tremble coming, don't stand around. It's a shake, rattle, and worm in this old town. Rattle and worm, yes, shake, rattle and worm, come on and shake, rattle and worm in this old town.
Very good that day, very good. Now, as someone who's actually doing a country and western album, and I've got a few songs out there on iTunes and stuff, that's very good. The AI stuff that we both use, for some reason, the country music is one of the easiest ones to create the music, not the lyrics, because your lyrics are really good, but the actual music, it seems to arrange it really well together. Maybe because it all sounds the same, doesn't it? You go like honky tonk or no, I don't mean that. I mean the music sounds really like good because it when you put up a song, you do a rock song or something, you've got to really tweak it, haven't you? And I love what you've done there. I think it's got everything. It's got the violin, it's got the fucking guitar, the twanging guitar, everything. But yeah. Maybe sound like I'm trying to offend you there. I'm not. I'm actually complimenting you. But I do like the fact that the AI stuff, it really seems to embrace the country music, because I have got a little album I'm doing myself at the moment. So very good, Dave. I like that.
Yeah, and I know you like country and western a lot more than I do, but I must admit, when I was putting this one in, and obviously you had to get a little Star Wars reference in there, because we haven't mentioned that at all, have we? But very much like the Sarlacc that's in Return of the Jedi, only that's, static, isn't it? It's just like a hole in the ground. These fuckers, they're mobile. So yeah, I loved it. That chorus, and I could just imagine doing the old line dancing. It was in the 90s, wasn't it? When it suddenly weirdly became this big fashionable thing to do. So yeah, I thought I did like that one. But Chris, today has been amazing. I loved watching this movie and love talking through it with you. So thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all our listeners. Thanks to all our supporters. And we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back.
That's annoying.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off.
Get to the chopper!
One ring to go.
All right. Ding, ding.
Bust you up. Go for it.
Well, here we go.
Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Come on. Ain't so bad. Ain't nothing. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just a stupid. Yeah, maybe you crazy. I ain't breathing heavy. He's a fool. He's stupid. I seen you at 6 I must break